What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video we'll be getting the Glory of Dazar'alor achievement. This is of course all of the achievements in the Battle of Dazar'alor raid, which will award the Dazar'alor Wind Reaver Flying Mount. I'd highly recommend at least one person in your group have the Instance Achievement Tracker add-on, which will print out to the raid chat when certain criteria has been met, and when to kill the boss. Now these achievements aren't really difficult, to be honest. I definitely feel like these are easier than the older achievements. You can get them all in one go, but anyways, let's get started talking about what you'll need prior to starting. As far as classes are concerned, none that are really required, but one that would be helpful is a Warlock on the Stormwall Blockade fight. There's just an ad that the Warlock will constantly be fearing throughout the entire fight. A third tank possibly for the Roscon fight to tank ads that shouldn't die would be helpful, although I'll admit my group didn't really do that. That's really it for classes. Now items that you'll need. You need one person to have the pet singing sunflower, really only one person needs it, and then you need an engineer with a Blingtron 4000 and an engineer with a Blingtron 5000. This is for the Mekkatorque fight. Now the more engineers you have with those, the better, just in case you do end up wiping, since the Blingtrons have a 4-hour cooldown, but technically you only need one of each. So that's it for prerequisites. Let's talk about the achievements. Can I get a heck? Yeah, this is from the first boss champions fight. Before you start the fight, you'll notice this trash pile by the entrance of the encounter. This is the Alliance one, and I believe the Horde one is on the other side. Prior to the fight, you want everyone to click the trash pile so they'll have a debuff called Janny's Favor. So the point of this achievement is to steal 9 shinies from enemies in the encounter. 3 from the Disciples, 3 from the Crusaders, and 3 from the Champion. So starting off, since you're doing this on normal and might overgear it, you should be doing all these fights on normal. By the way, it does make it a lot easier, but if you know your group overgears the fight, then only start off auto-attacking the boss. You can get her low, just don't kill her. So randomly, people in the fight will transform into these little compies. Once you do, you'll get an extra action button to steal a shiny. You just run up to one of the enemies and steal a shiny. Once stolen, you need to run back to your respective trash pile and the shiny will automatically deposit. It seems to transform 3 people into a compy at a time, but that could be based off raid size, so you just need 3 shinies from each type of enemy stolen and brought to the trash pile. Stealing a shiny from an enemy does not put any debuff on them, meaning you can steal multiple shinies from the same enemy. Once brought to the trash pile, the Instance Achievement Tracker add-on will print out how many shinies have been stolen from that type of enemy. Also, one thing to note, it doesn't look like players get turned into the compies until the start of the phase where your group should be killing the ads, so keep that in mind. You just might not want to get overwhelmed with ads, so killing them before the end of the ad phase may be something to keep in mind. But once all 9 shinies have been stolen, kill the boss and you get your achievement. Dead people will still receive the achievement. It seems like that's the case for every achievement in here except one, which I'll mention later. Next up, Hidden Dragon from Jade Fire Master's boss. I know Horde faced Gronk here, but since I'm Alliance, I'll talk about him next. So anyways, to get this achievement, you need the monk to use her Dragon Breath on a Jade Serpent egg to hatch a non-existent Jade Serpent. Now what does this mean? Well, a little bit into the fight, a Jade Serpent egg will spawn on this side of the encounter. You want one person to pick it up, and this person can't take any fire damage. They also can't do any attacks or healing. Since we were pretty much over healing it, we have one of our healers grab it as a stag and just run around with a giant green egg on their head. You'll definitely want to pick it up before phase 2 or Phoenix Strike will break the egg. Those are the red swirl things that appear during the maze. So as I mentioned before, this person can't take any fire damage, meaning they need to stay away from the tanks at all times to avoid any unnecessary fire damage from the mage. Healers need to make sure they dispel the searing embers from targets. If it times off, it'll deal fire damage to everyone. At 60 energy is the monk maze. There will be Phoenix Strikes that fall from the sky for the egg person to dodge or will break the egg. Then once they reach 100 energy, they turn into dragons. Now contrary to the normal fight, you do want to kill the mage first. You know, you normally keep the monk at less health due to the harmonious spirits thing, but you need the monk to breathe on the egg holder. The passive fire damage that the phoenix gives off won't kill the egg, so don't worry, but the egg holder needs to make sure they get in front of the monk before the monk breathes, and then you're good to kill the boss and get the hidden dragon achievement. No actual dragon hatches. It's a bit disappointing. Barrel of Monkeys. Gronk's achievement. This one's pretty straightforward, and there's a couple of ways you can go about doing it depending on how much your group overgears it. So prior to the fight, you go to the bottom of the stairs before the boss encounter, and you'll see 6 barrels adjacent to the stairs. You want people to grab them and bring them into the boss room. It does slow your movement speed, but it doesn't matter since the fight hasn't started yet. So to get this achievement, you want Gronk to use his Reverberating Slam for Horde or Deathly Slam for Alliance on all 6 barrels during the fight. You can have him smash all of them at once or one at a time depending on your group's gear. Why this matters matters is because once he smashes a barrel, his damage is increased by 20% for 30 seconds. If he smashes all 6 barrels at once, his damage is increased by 120% for 30 seconds. Our group overgeared it, so what we did was we piled all the barrels on top of each other prior to the fight, all the melee stacked on them to bait the slam, and then moved before the slam happened. All 6 barrels broke and he got really big and angry for 30 seconds, but once all 6 barrels break, no matter how you do it, you can kill the boss and get the achievement. Next up is opulence, and the achievement is praise the sunflower. So what you want to do before the fight is bring out your singing sunflower pet or have someone else bring out theirs. Not everyone has to have one. Really only one person needs one. Also, this is an individual achievement, so some people might get it, some might not. You just have to do the right thing. Also, you do have to be alive to get the achievement, I believe. Now, to get the achievement, in the second phase of the fight, you need to get the brilliant aura buff and / praise a singing sunflower. I'll explain specifically what that means in a second. But first off, some people say that the sunflower is kind of difficult to target during the fight, so what I did was, before the fight, I set my sunflower as a focus target by selecting him and typing /focus. Then I made a macro which said /target /focus on one line, and the next line said /praise. Now, having the macro say /target singing sunflower won't work because you actually can't use /target on companion pets directly, but you can if you set them to your focus and /target that way. Anyways, onto the fight. Split your DPS like normal on either side, and then once you get to the gym room, you want some people, maybe 3 or 4, preferably range, to get the topaz gem. It's the yellow colored one. What this gem will do is it will count up to 100 as long as you're staying away from people. In the final phase, when your group converges, once this buff reaches 100 and you get the brilliant aura buff, run into the melee and everyone needs to stand on you. Then they need to target the singing sunflower however they see fit, whether they use the macro or not, and /praise it. Once again, they can target any sunflower, not just the sunflower of whoever is big and glowing. Instance Achievement Tracker will tell you who praised the sunflower with the buff and who didn't, since it is a personal achievement. It's common courtesy to allow everyone to do it before you decide to kill the boss. Also, if multiple people grab the topaz, then you'll get the brilliant aura buff at different times, so you don't have to wait a full 100 seconds before your next window of praising the sunflower. Also, it's been reported that dead people will not get the achievement. Now, once everyone has praised a sunflower with the buff, kill the boss and get your achievement. Next up, walk the dinosaur. Council of the Chosen achievement. This is probably one of the more difficult achievements in here, but it's actually pretty easy if everyone just follows directions. So during the start of the fight, Gonk's aspect will summon raptors that will fixate players. To get this achievement, one of the original set of raptors that spawns has to be alive by the end of the fight. It has to be one of the original raptors. So when the first set of raptors spawns, mark one and your group can't touch it, especially since they don't have a crazy amount of health. Now if your group overgears the fight like crazy and you do kill Gonk prior to the raptors coming out, that's fine since they come out during the entire fight. Killing him will just stop his hex ability, which is what you'd want. Now the raptors can be slowed and stunned, they cannot be CC'd. If you have Death Knights, they may come in handy in gripping the raptors away, but that's it really. The raptors will switch targets every 20 seconds, so this person, whether they're melee or range, should run around the outskirts of the room to not bring it near the boss for accidental cleave. This can be a little difficult when Paku's bird comes down and everyone needs to get under the bird. If the raptor's far away, you can try slowing it, or you can run out and around the field if the raptor's chasing you and you have an immunity like Aspect of the Turtle or Bubble or something. Anyways, kill all 4 aspects while one of the original raptors are alive and you get the achievement. Oh, and yes, dead people still do get it. We have plenty of them. Next achievement is We Got Spirit, How About You? From the Rosticon fight. This is another achievement where you need to keep ads alive, but luckily these ads don't have tiny health pools. So at the start of the fight, you actually want to tank Rosticon with the ads in some corner of the room where people won't normally go. This is where we picked, this corner right here. Kill the ads in phase 1 here because this is where they'll spawn again in phase 3, the phantom versions of them. To get this achievement, you finish the encounter with the phantom ads still alive. So go through phase 2 like normal. Phase 3 starts when Rosticon gets to 60% health and once somebody pulls half of the raid into the dead realm. When this happens, the phantom ads will spawn in the live realm. Now your group can try and CC them. They can be trapped and shackled and whatnot, but I think after they're CC'd once, then they can't be for another minute or something like that. So that's where your off tank comes in to tank the ads. One of the ads casts a grave bolt, so try to interrupt that, but besides that, just kill the boss with those ads up and you're good. I Got Next achievement from Mekkatorque. This is where your engineers come in handy with their Blingtron 4000 and 5000s. So prior to the fight, you want one engineer to place their Blingtron 4000 or 5,000, but just place one of them. Then right as the fight starts, place the other Blingtron so they start fighting. The timing doesn't matter all that much, just as long as the Blingtron 5,000 doesn't kill the Blingtron 4,000 before the fight. It does take roughly 10 seconds for a 5,000 to kill a 4,000. But yeah, they can start fighting a second before the encounter starts, that's fine. Anyways, once the 4,000 dies, a big Blingtron Mach 2 will spawn and your group needs to kill it. It has a Blingstorm AoE under its feet, so make sure to get out of that. It does a chain lightning thing which can be interrupted, so once it dies you're back to Mekkatorque and you want to kill him to get your achievement. Now Mekkatorque does have some dangerous mechanics to him even if it's on normal, so make sure everyone knows what they're doing when it comes to getting behind the rubble for the bombs or knowing how to do the bots, or don't step on small people, because if you wipe, well, hopefully you have more 4,000s and 5,000s. The Lurker Below, achievement from Stormwall Blockade. So first off, you want to designate to one person who's really good at dodging things. Then you want to split your groups up into two like normal and ride the pterodactyls to their respective boats. The one person that's good at dodging things will stay back on the dock. There is a what looks like fishing pool off the side of the dock that you can see before the fight. You don't have to fish from it, but when the fight starts, the person who stayed back will just need to click on it and it'll begin a 2-minute cast of pulling a rope out of the water. This rope will do a few things. It'll pull you towards it, so you want to make sure you run against it, since if you fall into the water, then you'll die. There will be blue swirls that spawn under your feet that you want to move away from. Then waves will spawn that if you get hit by, they'll push you back. So make sure to dodge those so you don't get pushed off the opposite side of the dock. After 2 minutes, a giant lurker sea creature will spawn, and this creature will almost immediately cast Hydroblast when he spawns. It is a cast, so make sure to dodge it, because if you don't, then you'll fly off the dock. Now you want to make sure phase 1 lasts 2 minutes at least, so slow your DPS where you see appropriate, so the first phase will end just after the lurker spawns. Now if your group does a stacking method on this boss to contain the sea swells, you want to make sure you stack on the opposite side of the dock from the Loa, since he has another ability called Undertow, which pulls all players to him, and if you're right next to him you'll instantly die. Those are his two abilities, the Hydroblast that shoots you off the boat, and Undertow, which pulls players to instantly kill them. If a warlock is constantly fearing him, then he won't be able to cast these things. So you don't kill him, you just want to kill the boss with him up and you'll get your achievement. Now finally, Snow Fun Allowed, Jaina's achievement. So how do you do this achievement? You'll do phase 1 like normal, then when she reaches 60% health she puts the shield around her and teleports away. This intermission phase is where you'll get your credit for the achievement. You want people who move fast to go ahead and no one interrupts Jaina. There will be 3 snow mounds around the area for people to find. Once you run over it, you don't get a debuff or buff, but you get a snowflake over your head. Once you find one, let your group know. Also, the instance achievement tracker will print out who grabbed one. So once all 3 are found, interrupt Jaina. Then all 3 of those people will want to find a frozen barrel, just one frozen barrel in phase 2, and stand on it. All of them have to stand on the same barrel to create a snowman. Once a snowman is created, you need to drop a bombardment on that barrel so it's attackable. Do this and destroy the barrel. This will melt the snowman, and then you need to defeat Jaina. Once you do that, you'll get your achievement, as well as your Gloria of Dazar'alor Raider achievement. And there you have it, all the achievements in Dazar'alor to get your Dazar'alor Wind Reaver mount. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions on achievements, then feel free to leave it in the comments below and I'll try to help you out. But if it was helpful, then you can feel free to leave a like on it, sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.